You get a stranger to glance at a number that has nothing to do with anything, a phone number, a random dial spin, whatever. 2 seconds later, you ask them to guess the price of something totally unrelated. Their guess drifts toward that meaningless number. Every time. This isn't a fluke. It's called anchoring, and it happens below conscious awareness. Your brain doesn't ignore irrelevant information. It uses whatever number arrived first as a starting point, then adjusts from there, usually not far enough. That first number becomes gravity. It pulls your estimate toward it before you've even decided what you think something is worth. And retailers know this better than you do. You're behind the wheel less than you think, and it's not just Tupperware parties for economists. A car salesman anchors with sticker price before you've said a word. A negotiator opens high on purpose, knowing your counter will orbit their number. A prosecutor names a steep sentence, nudging the eventual verdict upward. Even that regular price $40 tag next to the sale sticker is engineered, not to inform you, but to bend your sense of what's reasonable. None of these people read the same journals you might have heard about. They just noticed what works. And once you see the pattern, you start noticing it everywhere, which raises an uncomfortable question. If the first number rigs the game, what actually happens inside your brain when it lands? You get handed a price, and your brain doesn't do the math you think it does. It doesn't research, compare, or reset to zero. It grabs whatever number's closest and nudges from there. That nudge is the problem. Study after study shows people barely move off the starting point, even when it's random, even when it's absurd. So the very first figure you see, a sticker price, an asking rate, a was $200 tag, becomes the sun everything else orbits. Every later guess, every "is this a good deal?" gets pulled toward it. You're not pricing the product anymore. You're just measuring distance from a number someone else planted. And that's exactly where it gets dangerous. You're not choosing anymore. You're anchoring, and it doesn't care if the source is legitimate. Researchers proved this decades ago with a rigged wheel of fortune spun in front of people, landing on a number that was obviously random. Ask them a totally unrelated question right after, something numeric, and their guesses drift toward whatever the wheel showed. Tell them flat out it's random. Doesn't matter. The number still gets in. That's the unsettling part. This isn't about being fooled. It's involuntary. Your brain grabs the nearest number and drags your estimate toward it. No consent required. So imagine what happens when the number isn't random at all, when someone designed it specifically to move you. You feel clever for grabbing the deal. You're not. That crossed-out number sitting above the price you actually pay wasn't left there by accident. It's not a memory of yesterday's price. It's bait. Retailers know your brain can't help but compare, so they hand you two numbers and let the gap do the persuading. You look at the sale price and think, smart move, but you're not evaluating the price at all. You're evaluating the distance between two numbers someone else chose. Cross out a bigger number, and suddenly $40 feels like a steal instead of just $40. The tag was never about the price. It was about giving you a story to tell yourself. You're standing at a table, and whoever opens their mouth first just won the negotiation. They don't know it yet, but they did. Salary talks, a house offer, haggling over a used car. The first number spoken becomes gravity. Every counteroffer, every meet in the middle, gets pulled toward it, even from the person who didn't say it. Your brain treats that first number as information, not opinion. A starting point worth adjusting from, not a guess worth ignoring. So going second feels careful, feels safe, but you're not protecting yourself. You're just letting someone else draw the map you'll spend the rest of the conversation navigating. Right, your ID number. 2 random digits assigned to you at birth, and suddenly they're steering what you'll bid on a bottle of wine you've never tasted. That's the finding that shook researchers. People asked to write down the last digits of their identification number, then guess prices, anchored hard to those digits, even though everyone involved knew the numbers were meaningless. Higher digits, higher bids. Lower digits, lower bids. No connection, no logic, no excuse. That's how blind the mechanism is. Your brain isn't running a relevance check before it grabs a number. It's just grabbing whatever's sitting there and building from it. Which means anyone who hands you a number first, for any reason, is already inside your head. You feel savvy, cross-checking one entree against another. You're not. You're comparing both to that one absurd dish nobody's meant to order, the one that quietly resets what expensive even means on this page. Suddenly, the second priciest plate feels like a smart choice, a discount almost, even though its price never moved. That's the anchor doing its job, silently, before your first bite. Restaurants know this. Menu designers place that overpriced item deliberately, sometimes never expecting a single order, just to make everything beneath it look kinder to your wallet. And once you see it here, you'll start seeing it everywhere, because this same trick didn't stay in restaurants. It escaped into every price tag you'll ever glance at. You're staring at the same steak dinner, still $18 too high in your head, and you know it. So you adjust. You pull the number down, closer to what feels fair. But here's the trap. You stop the second it feels reasonable, not when it's actually right. That gap between reasonable and right, that's profit sitting quietly on the table. Behavioral scientists call this insufficient adjustment. Your brain treats the anchor like a leash, letting you wander only so far before yanking you back. Knowing the trick exists barely loosens the leash. And that's the unsettling part. This isn't ignorance. It's a wired-in shortcut, running even when you're watching it happen. You don't even need a rival bidder or a sneaky salesperson. Just glance at a price tag, silently guess what something's worth before you check, and that guess locks in. Your brain doesn't care where the number came from, self-generated or planted. It treats both as real data. Say you eyeball a couch and think, maybe $600 before flipping the tag. Even if you're wildly off, that $600 now warps every comparison you make next. Higher price feels like a ripoff. Lower feels like a steal. You built the trap yourself, walked in, and shut the door behind you. Which raises an even weirder question. What happens when two anchors show up at once? You're not as smart as the anchor thinks you are. That's the uncomfortable part. Anchoring doesn't come from ignorance. It comes from how your brain handles any guess when it doesn't have a clean answer stored away. Experts do it. Judges do it. Traders staring at screens all day do it. Give someone more facts, more time, more expertise, and the anchor barely loosens its grip, because the bias isn't sitting in the missing information, it's sitting in the machinery you use to process any number at all. You can't outrank it with credentials. You can't outstudy it either. And that raises a strange twist. Sometimes your brain doesn't even need a real number to grab onto. You can't outfeel it either. Numbers don't have to be real to work on you. A price tag ripped off a shelf, a stranger's guess muttered out loud. Even a phone number can quietly reset what you're willing to pay next. That's why fighting the anchor head-on never works. You're negotiating with a number that already moved in and rearranged the furniture. The real move is showing up first. Build your own estimate before there's ever reaches you. Research it, price it, commit to a figure on paper. Whoever names the first number sets the gravity everyone else falls toward. Make sure, from now on, that person is you.